podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
I'm Aaliyah.
And I'm Joe.
And welcome to our podcast. So today I think we're really going to get into and discuss social media. And I guess there's like a lot of stuff going on right now in the world with lots of different countries wanting to ban social media. I feel like I also heard that there were some states that also I think have done it. I don't remember which ones. I have to look that up. But
I don't know about the States, but I know that France and the UK has already kind of implemented some things, I think, but France is looking at a ban for social media for kids under 15, which I think is amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, that's the type of stuff we need to start banning, you know? I think it's really proven to be have taken kids down the wrong path as far as self-reflection and how they feel about themselves based on what other kids are putting out there. Obviously, like people in general are putting all the best stuff out there. So, and then also AI and all this other stuff you can't tell sometimes. So kids kind of get into that world and they start looking at themselves like, oh, this person's better than me and blah, blah, blah.
Right, and that's been going on since social media, like, even first started. I guess where I go with it is, I mean, I think that it's a given at this point. I feel like there's not many people who I speak to now who are like, oh, social media is great.
Right.
Right. So I feel like as a collective, everyone's like, not really so much. Obviously, we know what happens or what can happen, right? On a mental health level, contributing to anxiety, contributing to depression, suicide. I mean, there's so many things that can come out of social media.
To be honest, I think the only thing that's like good about exposing your kids to it is because everybody's already exposed to it. So if you have a kid that's never seen it before, then they get to be like 10 years old and they're like, what is this thing? And it's like this, then they can really go down the rabbit hole if you kind of restrict this stuff at an early age, just because it's everywhere, right? I think there's obviously a balance.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like that's where kind of I go with it too, because I think of the social media ban that they're wanting to do in France right now, from 15, well, under the age of 15, right? I kind of like compare or think about it similar to, let's say, restricting candy and sugar and all this.
It's like restricting porn,
right?
They're gonna get that, like the internet isn't just something that they can just like control.
Well, and so that's where I go with it too. Is first of all, I feel like that's a really big thing to even manage, right? Like,
right.
So how do you manage like 15? So like, well, I guess they have a thing like, oh, enter your age, and then
no, you know how they do it with social media. If they're saying social media specifically, that means any company that has a social media app or whatever, then you have to be 18 or whatever, or 16 years old to even access it.
Right, but you can just basically create an age and say that you were born in this year.
You could, but no, they got other things now too, like the facial scans and all this other stuff now.
That's true. I feel like that's what they would have to do in order
but then
to really...
what'll happen after that is they'll get these like rogue apps that you get on like the dark web that you can install on your phone, and then that will be like the craziest social media app, because all those kids will be on it, but nobody will know.
Yeah, the social media thing is really wild. Like as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about like when someone posts something, and then you get like all these people, not all, but like a bunch of people who will just like post like negative things
About
based on
what?
whatever they posted, right? So
Oh,
let's
just
say
anything. Yeah.
right? Like, I badly want to have a conversation with those people and really understand what's going on also in their brain, right? So, because like for you to even make such a hateful, negative comment towards somebody else's thing, right? For you to be that involved, I guess, right? And feel the need to even say anything like that just to make someone feel like shit, like that's the person I want to really talk to as well.
The comments you're saying?
In the comments.
Okay.
Because that's where a lot of these things, right? Like the comments get crazy.
Right. And also some of the comments are not real people either. So that's the other issue.
Well,
right?
That too.
I mean, that's a huge issue. And I don't know why these social media companies, I know that X was all about getting rid of all the bots. And I think they've gotten rid of probably like 90% of them because that's what they specifically set out to target, and I don't know why the other social media companies don't do that.
Right. Why?
They just allow it, kind of. I mean, there's a way to filter it out, at least the majority of it.
Well, it's like, and that's the thing. On one side, I understand that some people may be like, well, I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say, right? And that whole entire nine, which I definitely agree with that. But again, then what's the balance? Because we got people killing themselves out here. And I'm not saying that it's just like, oh, solely because of this comment that you made on social media, right? Clearly, there's lots of other things going on behind that, But for you to make that comment without even thinking about that, right? Or empathizing with somebody else or anything, like you have no idea what you're contributing to in that moment. You're just recklessly making comments thinking it's okay. Meanwhile, the person on the receiving end already struggles from depression, already struggles from this.
This could be utilized if done in the right way, like education on social media to kids, right? So maybe there's courses in school, like elementary school even, of like teaching kids empowerment and understanding that yes, people say hurtful things, but like you don't have to take that to heart. You can just stop following them or not allow them to see your stuff or whatever it is, and
Well, this
just
is where I think
encouragement
that comes in. This is where I think homeschooling, because there's no way I don't see the public school systems doing anything like that. I was just looking at there's like obviously celebrities have the means to do lots of different things, but like financially. But this one celebrity, she was talking about how her kids are homeschooled, and with one of her children, her oldest daughter, all the classes that she has for the homeschooling are all catered and focused based on what she obviously likes and what she's interested in, right? And what they also feel is beneficial to learn about. That's where that would fit in, because then you can create your own school essentially, right? There's still obviously things or certain requirements that each state has that you have to focus on, but like, right, I can have a social media class thrown in there, like the effects of social media,
or just even like confidence building courses.
Confidence building, right?
Just knowing like everybody has their opinion and that's okay, and sometimes people won't agree and that's fine, and then you just attract what you want. And then that's why with social media, I specifically, and I've told you this, right? I've like unfollowed or not followed anybody unless it's like something that I want to see every day. Positive information. Like a lot of my stuff is like on our Instagram is motivational, like just mental health stuff. It's all like figuring things out and bettering yourself and understanding yourself. That's what everything is about. And all the other stuff, I just stopped. So that's all that comes into my feed. And I'm kind of brainwashing myself through the social media in a positive way.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, like, 15-year-olds aren't thinking that.
Why not? We can have them kind of lean them in any direction that we want. The reason why they're not is because there's all this stuff out there. And I think it's almost like this echo chamber too, of like, I think a lot of like the, what are they called? The TV shows that are like real life type of stuff. What do they call those?
Reality TV.
Reality TV shows, right? Those have really kind of crept into culture in a negative way, because things happen, and then they realize that people get excited when they're like, oh shit, I wonder who's going to talk shit about whoever,
Chaos.
right?
Yeah.
And that has become like the norm, when it's really not. They've accentuated certain moments. If somebody recorded us for like a week straight, they would catch plenty of moments where we're like arguing or being like kind of disagreeing about something, and they could hype that up and make that like the main fucking thing. But like I would say 95% of our week is like, I don't know, positive and boring. Right? Like we're just doing our life, hey, having our kid, like eating dinner, like just what are we going to talk about on the podcast about how are we going to help more people or whatever. But not it's, you can take out what you want, is what I'm saying.
Of course.
And it started, I think, with the reality TV shows, and now it's just people make that type of thing because it does create attention, right? There's just like little kids, though. Like little kids will take any attention they can get, right? So whether it's negative or positive, especially from the parents, if they can get it, they'll get it, right? And it's almost, that's what's happening with social media. It's like the attention could easily be shifted over to all positive shit.
It could
and
be.
People would be excited about it. But
that would have to.
It would have to be a culture shift.
That would be a huge culture shift, right? Because again, as well, not as we know, but as we know, right? With the brain, when it comes to attention, right, and energy, right? The brain loves to get sucked into negative energy. It's just negative energy is just like the energy of it is such a stronger, more intense energy, but just like in another way.
But is it more so or equal to positive?
I think positive energy is also really intense, right? But I think they both have like different types of intensities, if that makes sense,
I think the negative is easy. You get into it because it's a lot easier. It's cut and dry. It's like, oh, this person's mad at this person and they're yelling, or something like that, or it's like an emotional thing.
I think it's more intense because negative energy seems to linger a lot longer than positive energy. When something negative happens, that energy lasts longer. Like, oh, and I'm starting from like basics here. Oh, you got an F on your test, like, oh, you're grounded, like blah, blah, get your grades up, did you study? Like all these comments now about the fucking F on the test, right? If you're not doing your chores, that gets focused on. If, like, God forbid, you snuck out of whatever it is, right? Like negative energy always gets the most amount of energy. All the stuff that's going on in the world, negative stuff, right? Most amount. But then there's like tons of positive stuff going on, right?
Take those same examples, but do the opposite.
Like I understand that, but that's not how society functions.
But why?
Well, because starting from God knows how fucking long ago, I don't know, how long ago did all this culture stuff start in terms of negative?
I'm thinking it's reality TV shows.
Okay, so when did the reality TV shows
90s,
start?
in the 90s? Because I think we did, as a culture, have a more positive outlook on things prior to that. I mean, I think it was a slow transition. There was probably like sitcoms, even even those TV shows. They would implement sarcasm and stuff.
It was more actually. You're right, because I'm going towards like right now I'm going back to like, let's say the Jeffersons.
Yeah, like
right?
even in the 70s, 80s.
Right, like when the Jeffersons was on,
But it was what was his name? The other one, All in the Family.
Well, Archie Bunker.
Right?
I mean, he was racist.
But it was like funny, which it is. I get it, but it's like, we could also have had like the opposite of Archie Bunker. Whatever the media decided to put out at that time, because it was like not a million channels out there, we're going to ingest. That's why I think at the beginning, if you go back to like when TV just started, it was all this like wholesome stuff, right? It was like you can't find like some black and white TV show or movie that's like, oh, fuck this, and everything's all shitty and negative. It's always like,
no, not at all anymore,
oh, it's all these awesome, amazing, great families and doing fun things or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, no, not anymore.
But that's what they chose to put in front of you. Yeah. So now they they're purposely putting negative stuff in front of us because maybe, like you said, it's a quicker impact. It pulls you in faster.
I think it's a quicker hit. It's a quicker
Yeah,
high,
yeah. It's
you know?
like drugs,
and
right?
right. And I also think I do believe though that on like a brain level, like chemically, I feel like I've heard this somewhere, but I think negative energy also will trigger dopamine as well, right? So not only does positivity, right,
Yeah.
trigger dopamine, but so does negative.
Right.
I think again the difference is that that negativity will linger more, right? So like people right now, let's take like the ice thing for example, just for example, right? Like I mean, people are talking about this like fucking. It's just like the only thing that people are talking about, right? But there's like other great things happening in the world, but like that's not being.
But think
No one's
about why.
discussing it.
Why?
Well, the media
There you go.
is
Once
putting
again,
out the negative constantly.
they create the narrative. They create the flow, whether we're focusing on negative or positive. The only reason we probably shift more towards the positive is because we don't watch the news and we don't watch a lot of like TV and all the. Well, I mean, you kind of dabble in all that shit.
Well,
I don't
I'm
know
going
why,
now to
but-
like back to like that band, like the 15-year-olds, you know, and I'm starting to think just with this conversation, is that even because at 15, like if I let's say didn't have social media or any access to social media at all from the time that I was born until 15.
we didn't.
That's right. That's right. We did it. I totally forgot.
Literally until we were probably like 13, 14, 15.
Okay, so actually, this is, and not to say that everyone's story is like mine, but okay, so you're right. We didn't have social media. I had a beeper, you know. That's about it. But man, I'll tell you, like I was still doing crazy shit, and still very heavily influenced with just like lots of different, you know, negative energy and this and that and teenage type shit, right? And that was all happening while no cell phone, no nothing, right? No social media, no
Right.
anything.
So then this is where I go back to the media, the TV. There was still TV. We watched a lot of TV and a lot of sitcoms and a lot of like movies and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
And in the 80s and 90s, there was a shitload of like movies and whatever that were coming out that if you go back and watch them too, they throw in these little things that oh, that's like maybe 10 years prior to that, maybe it wouldn't have been funny or whatever, but then they slowly kind of start implementing this like sarcastic comedy and whatever, and then it just goes down that road.
That road.
And
Yeah,
then you
sure.
hang out with your friends and you only have maybe like 10 friends you hang out with all the time, and all those people, they all watch the same fucking movies, they all watch the same thing, so they think that that's fun and that's cool and that's what you do. This is why I'm like, I'm gonna go live in like Maine in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, that
sometimes, you know?
basically might, right. I mean, that's like the only other option. I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, you know,
Or-
because
or-
it's everywhere.
So yes, but because it's everywhere, and because I'm not an isolationist, and because I want my kid to have a normal life, I think conversations and education is the most important thing possible. Just having the line of communication open and being able to talk about these and inject our ideas of how things should be.
Right. So what do we do now for the kids who, you know, are just have a more difficult time adjusting socially in person, but have a way easier time being able to socialize online?
Why is that?
I don't know, many reasons. Like there's like so many contributing factors, not just one. You know, I mean that could be like, okay, gosh, that could be anywhere from, I don't know, kids environment, mom was at work, dad was at work, single child, you know, and then just like living by himself, kind of isolated, growing up with no one, right? Like, and then just kind of like getting lost and caught up at home and just like being on the computer or whatever, blah blah, not having really high self-esteem for whatever reasons, whether it be school or environment or this or I mean, there's so many things. It could be like it could be that you're in a family of fucking 6 siblings, right? And you're like the middle, so you're just like lost, you know, and no one's paying you any attention. And then this and that. It's like there's so many things that we can contribute to that.
I think as a society, we're getting close by these types of things. Like, all right, like we're becoming more aware that all right, social media for kids at a certain age might not be positive and helpful for their lifestyle, right? We're getting closer, but I think we will continue having these issues, even if they do these bans, even if they stop whatever or whatever, because
All right, but what about the kids? That was my question.
all right, because the source is the media in general. So until society or even like a country like America or whatever decides as a whole to say, okay, we need to ban certain types of content in general across the board, even to adults and everybody.
Yeah.
You change the landscape. This is how you start to change culture. Culture currently now is fundamentally coming from the media, right? Prior to TV, culture came from this, having conversations, traveling, experiencing new things, bringing it back to your environment and spreading the word of like whatever you went through, your experience and stuff, right? That was how culture slowly shifted. Now it just gets injected because you were like, hey, did you watch that show the other night, that fucking Breaking Bad or whatever the fuck it is, right? And then you're like, yeah, that was great, but remember this part and that part, and then that's how it spreads.
Okay, but again,
We don't talk about real shit anymore.
but what happens to the kids?
Well, when you
who
make that
have
shift,
a hard time socializing because either they have social anxiety diagnosed, and people who have social anxiety can't just go out into crowds or just go out and just like talk to people. It's really, really difficult for them. So then what? But it's easy for them to sit at home.
well, first off, I'm not trying to solve all the world's problems. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say like there's a way to shift things at a higher level that can contribute and maybe possibly help that kid.
I understand that. I get that you're going to the higher level, but I'm just kind of going to right now, because right now in France, they're looking at banning, right, social media for kids 15 and younger. So now I'm going, okay, well, the higher level is not going to happen right now, okay? And they're banning it. So with that being said, what then happens to the kids that have a really hard time socializing in person, but spend a lot of their time? Now, I'm not saying that them spending time, especially if my kid has anxiety or depression, I definitely don't think that them sitting in front of the computer or being on their phone is really helpful. So I would obviously, as a parent, want to encourage something different, right? But I also know that at the same time, if my kids' only friends are people that are online, and that's how they're at least interacting and having, regular moments where they're laughing or, whatever it is, I also don't want to take that away.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that really, but it's kind of like a catch-22 in my eyes. It's like the what you're hoping for that type of kid is that they can be more comfortable just communicating with other kids their age in real life,
That's
right?
the goal, right?
So
But that
if they're
takes time.
doing if they're doing it in the digital world, okay, yeah, that's great. But what happens is that it's possible nowadays to just be living in that world for the rest of your life. You could just literally sit in this chair and eat food and be on the computer and talk to whoever and play games or whatever for the rest of your life,
which I also don't
which
think is
didn't
the
exist
healthiest thing either.
15, 20 years ago. So like, I think it's like a catch-22. Yes, it's nice that they're able to like have those conversations now with like people via the internet or whatever, but the real goal is, or the real challenge that is important for them to overcome, is to push themselves to actually go do something and interact with other people, which slowly over time, doing that repetitively will actually get them more comfortable. You will never get more comfortable if you don't push yourself.
Yes, I understand that, Joe.
So where are we going with this?
Since I'm LMHC, right? However, I'm also a realist, right? And I also work with populations of people who are severely depressed and can't get themselves to actually
All right.
take the first step and get out of the house or go to a fucking grocery store. Like, I mean, truly.
There's so many variables and the reasons why they're this depressed. I mean, there's like generational stuff probably. There's environment. There's chemical imbalance type of stuff.
All this I understand. My question initially was just trying to kind of think of some ideas and some balance in terms of what we do for those types of populations of kids. Because they're taking away social media and they're going to ban it. I also want to know what falls under that category, meaning like what falls under that umbrella. Is social media just focusing on?
Oh, you're saying
is
because
social media
okay.
just focusing on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever that, Snapchat, whatever or is it also including like these like I don't know these other places and forums where kids also talk, but then they could also post things, but they're like it's like their main place of talking. Like there's also apps like that too that kids are using. Does it also include? I'm sure it's not going to include those video games where you can talk to people, right? Like I don't know what's under that umbrella.
Right, and this is what I'm talking about. It's like we're working from the wrong direction. Like what I said is the real solution. You go to all the top media companies and you say X, Y, and Z are no longer you're no longer able to put that type of content out. Negative type of shit. Start making new movies. The end. Or you can go make your movies in China or like wherever else in another country, but we're not going to watch that here. And everybody would be really pissed off at first because they're used to all this drama and all this chaos and whatever. But you're literally changing culture that way.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. But also 10 years ago, you would have never thought that France would be banning social media. You'd be like, well, that's crazy. They're not going to do that.
Right. Or that we'd have robots or anything like that.
Right. So it's like I'm sick of all this like tinkering with the bullshit. It's like you got a pile of shit. You got to clean the fucking shit up, right? And then start new.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna stick a flag in this shit and I'll put a blanket over the shit.
Look, that makes
That's
sense
what we're
to
doing.
me. I just don't think that anyone's out there just going, okay, let's just do this. And I feel like the only people who probably have any kind of like say in that, and I definitely don't think it's the government, but I think that any people like would be like huge. We're talking like Rockefellers, like we're talking like big influential people that are connected to like the deep of the world.
Really? Is it that? I mean, you might be right, but I mean, if everybody just agreed,
right? But not everyone.
But hold on. But it's the education, right? So if you had, and things are starting to like shift in that direction. If you take like health, right, at the government level and how things have shifted and. They're taking all the chemicals out of the foods and fluoride and pesticides and all this other stuff. I mean, that's all positive stuff, right? And that's happening at a government level because they're saying, listen, as a country, we don't want this in our foods anymore. And they just draw the line there. They just say, that's it. So you can continue using it, just not here, right? And then it just slowly transitions. And look at all the different cereal makers and stuff. Now they're all transitioning by like the end of this year. They're all going to not have red dye, whatever, right? So it's something like that where like maybe the United States government, I don't know who, the Congress or whoever, could just say, listen, this is the source. And here is why. And look what it's doing, and look how it stems down. They already have all this research and how it's like media and movies and all this other stuff are affecting adults' minds and kids' minds, right? So utilize that, and you just say, all right, we don't want that anymore here. And I know some people are used to it, and they're really just like I know some people are used to eating McDonald's and eating all these like Oreos with all the chemicals in it, but I don't think it's good for you. And people can make Oreos and other McDonald's in a different way that tastes just as good but it's a little bit healthier for you. You can make media, you can make movies, you can make TV shows that are a little bit better for your mental health. And that's it. And everybody just has to say, sounds like a good idea. And then we just let it play out. And
I mean, I hear what you're saying, I do, and I think that would be amazing. I guess where I go with it too is that I just have such a I have this thing with also like just the world and how the world works, just because it's just proven it over and over again. So for me, I'm like, okay, that would be so amazing if that were to work, and I would love that. I think that that would be great and effective, and I think everybody would eventually just fall in line because it's just basically what's happening. However, on like I guess, I don't know if this is like conspiracy theory. I don't know what people would consider this, but I feel like on like that kind of level where I go with it is all right. Well, now, if the world actually gets better, little by little, so health wise, right? People are healthy. That means there's a huge reduction in maybe cases of cancer, right? MS, all these things that are out there, right? Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, low blood, huge reduction.
diabetes, yeah.
That would be amazing. People aren't really having to take many medications.
Maybe their mental health clears.
If there's a huge reduction in mental health, that would be amazing. Also, people wouldn't be on so many medications.
The medications could be causing some of this.
You know, so, well, the medications to me is a big part because that's pharma. I think that big pharma has a huge stake in the game here, right? But I guess where I'm going with this is that if the world actually did get to like a wonderful place and all these things actually got cut back tremendously, which would be amazing, I don't think that that's what whoever they or the world is actually really looking for. And I say that because I do believe that certain things then would die off and not be needed.
That's why
which again, I'm okay with, right? Because I want that utopia that I think of, you know, like that like everyone's doing really well, their mental health is really well, stuff like that, etc. Blah blah. But like that would really, there would be a lot of stuff going on, like lack in money. A lot of big pharma money goes where?
To the media, so they can continue injecting these ideas to make us sick and not feel good.
I mean, it would just be, wow, geez, plastic surgeons would just be out of a job. Doctors would be, especially if confidence got better and body image got better and all these things.
To be honest, like this is just how things work, right? Like as a society shifts and grows, look at, if you take AI, for example, you know, people are actually losing some jobs right now, and we're probably gonna lose even more jobs moving into the future. But there was also that same situation when the radio came around, right? Because prior to that, it was only newspapers, and everybody was working at the newspaper place, and they were like, "Oh my God, we're all going to lose our jobs. Now you just get all your news right from the radio. You don't need newspapers anymore." Blah blah blah. And the telephone, the car. It's like before the car, we were riding horses. What about all the people that are making saddles for the horses? Oh, they're all going to be out of jobs. So that's how it continues on, and we just shift. Everybody moves, and we get new skills, and we learn different things. But my whole point with that is that the mental health aspect of it is like you and I, what we do. I'm hoping that in 20 years, we will be out of a job. That means we have done our job. There's not enough people that need mental health anymore. Now we move on to something else, right? Like that should be people's goal, really. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, like what we're fighting for is the end of our career. Essentially. Isn't that wild? But it's a worthwhile thing to do. And in the meantime, I mean, lots of people need help right now. So, we're doing okay. We're
Right.
doing well.
Well,
And then you just be grateful for that time
right.
of like doing that work and making money or whatever it is. And then when it comes time, all right, so you got to shift. You got to keep your ear to the wind. Is that what they say?
I have no idea what the saying is, but I get what you're saying. It's like, too, like I sit here and I think, I'm like, all right, well, why would insurance companies not want to pay for something that's proven over and over and over again to actually be extremely effective for people's mental
Well, those guys have been in Congress just recently, and they asked them. They had all like the top insurance guys, the CEOs of these different insurance companies come into Congress, and they're asking them, "All right, how many of you guys have connections with the different health organizations and have direct like public interests and are creating revenue from owning a hospital or owning a mental health facility?" And they all raised their hands. Like it's all just one thing. And it ends up being the insurance companies are like running the whole show. And it's a big scam, really.
Luigi Mangione. I mean, not okay, but please.
Right. So, that's, and I don't blame those like CEOs or anything, they got a job that they got into that world. But there are people that, I mean, somebody at some level has thought about this and said, okay, we have this insurance company. We make lots of money. It's technically not, what's the word, ethical to maybe own a mental health facility at the same time. But over time, it's like, oh, maybe we'll just buy a small one. Nobody says anything. And then we'll buy, now we'll buy a bigger. We'll buy a few of them. And then before you know it, nobody cares anymore, Right.
I mean, clearly we've switched gears here and it's gotten into something else.
Yeah,
this is kind of where I go too with it in terms of the, like, how do you consciously, willingly sign on to do a job, a career, right? But have no insight or awareness into the fact that that job or career that you're doing is actually really fucked up,
like harmful to society.
So like, I firmly believe,
because I think they're compartmentalized sort of in some cases.
I mean, I feel like you would have to. When I moved back from Florida to New York, and I couldn't be in Florida, I was a licensed therapist, but the hours in New York were different from Florida. So when I moved back to New York, I couldn't jump into a licensed mental health clinician job. I had to like take a step back. So I had to work at this methadone place, which was like my worst job ever. And I was there and quickly knew what this was about. I mean, this is not like it took me so long to figure it out. There was a line of people when I got to the office in the morning at 8 a.m. just waiting for their fucking methadone, okay? I get in, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be like a therapist here. I'm going to help people
get off of meth.
The whole nine. None of them want to talk to me, And then when they get in there, they're like thinking I'm just going to sit in there and just ask them a question. They're going to head out. And I'm like, no, we're like, you're here for 45 minutes.
Doing therapy.
We're doing therapy, And they were so confused. But that's their thing. They come in, they get that, and I would see this every day, and I would be so just like miserable going to work because it was like I knew what this was. Okay, like
what was it? Like
I knew what it was. Then one day I was asked to sign off on something for this patient's Medicaid policy that I felt I wasn't able to really sign off on. How they presented it to me wasn't sounding right to me. It was very unethical for me in my mind, and it was Medicaid fraud. And I clearly knew that.
What do you like? How so? Like, what do you mean?
they were wanting to basically have me sign off on things that like didn't happen, like services,
And what was the
etc.
benefit to the
Well,
patient?
because there's no benefit to the
Oh,
patient.
or
the company
the
gets more
company.
money.
Oh, okay.
The
okay,
company
okay.
gets more money, but it's Medicaid fraud, and so I quit.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's no fucking way. So it's like, I feel like people, let's say, working at that high level in the insurance companies, like,
They turn a blind eye.
you gotta know, like,
Yeah.
you gotta know, like, what shit is about when you're in it at a certain level.
Mhm.
Like, I could understand the people at a lower level who are like, okay, got a job, blah, 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 blah. But like,
Yeah. But though they're also maybe not seeing like the day-to-day stuff like you, right? So then, like I said, they're probably somewhat compartmentalized and focused on revenue generation and like talking to different insurance companies.
Of course,
and
that's what they're
hospitals and
focused
stuff,
on,
right?
and,
So like,
and of course that's what they're compartmentalizing the other thing. But I mean, like, again, how I could have easily compartmentalized that.
Mhm.
And been like, okay, well, if the company makes more
I mean-
money, then maybe actually I make more money because that can go towards my check, and maybe I get a promotion, but whatever it is, right?
maybe
Like,
this is just
I mean, I could have easily, and wrote off, but gross.
yeah.
Like, just ooh.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing too, like morals, right? And then ethical things, like one person's ethical thinking can be another person's non-ethical thinking, right?
Yeah, it's really just like, yeah, it's interesting to me.
Because I was thinking like, oh man, maybe if we like taught like ethics classes or something like that, but then who's teaching it and where's the
Ethics-
information coming
I've
from?
had an ethics class before.
Yeah,
in my
and they're not
master's program.
exactly.
The debates would go on forever.
Uh-huh.
Forever. But like in that kind of example that I just gave, I don't know. For me, I feel like there's no debate. Like, I feel like I feel like, how can you debate me on that? Like, that's just like a blatant. Now,
because they do teach you that stuff that you're not supposed to.
But unless someone's just focused on, see, this is now where, like, I think the importance, like what your focus is and the importance of that, do I want to make money? Sure. Everyone wants to make money. I have a life. I have a kid. I have a family. But is that more important than my ethical and moral foundation that I have? Like,
the potential shift in that could be, if they ever decide to really like crack down on that, is not allow anybody to own a mental health practice without being 100% owner and a clinician at some sort of level of like understanding.
So I think that's a great. So this takes me back to in Florida, and I don't know how it is now because I haven't been in Florida in like 6 years, 5 years. But when I was there, the whole time that I was living there, so anyone could own a mental health facility.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can own addictions. It didn't matter. You could be a recovering addict that just has a year sobriety, and you just happen to have some financial backing. Bada bing, bada boom.
But like you wouldn't need any kind of like authorized figure, like an
the
OMC
owner
or something.
Well,
involved,
you need their, of course, because that's the person who's
you can hire them.
You can hire them, but they don't
have
own,
to be owner. Oh, right.
They don't own the practice.
Yeah.
You're just hiring them, and then you're just using their NPI number, right, or their license number to basically do everything, right? Psychiatrist you bring in house, you're using their license, and all that stuff. But out, I'm not sure if it's not here, but in New York, my father actually, when he found out about that, what was going on in Florida, he was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, anyone can own it." And he was like, "That is not how, I guess, New York, they're really strict."
I mean, it
about
sounds
that or something
crazy.
like that. It's insane. How can anyone own?
But like people don't think about that, and this is like more education for people. Like if you're going to a mental health practice, you really should look into it and see who owns it.
I want to know who owns it.
Right? Like, you really should.
If I'm going to if I have to, God forbid, send my kid to any kind of treatment facility, anything like that, if you're going to a private practice, anything like that, you want to know who owns it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Because to be honest, if you're going to one of these mental health practices that an insurance company owns, it's probably not the
That's
best.
a tough one.
And what
Yeah, it's a
they
tough one.
do is so the insurance company is where you get like your in-network therapist from, and they get to determine. So they're like, okay, well, this is in network. We just so happen to own it, and then you get the line out the door. But then you're getting a line out the door to a practice where they don't really have
Well,
care too
that's
much
what it
about
is.
ethics.
I think that the people who they hire very well could,
right,
because they don't know what they're getting into, but the foundation doesn't.
Right.
And so if the foundation doesn't, then it's not a.
It's not built into it's not built into the culture of the business.
Right.
Which is exactly what we are trying to shift and change with our practice. I mean, we're from the ground up. It's like we only care about helping people, and that's the main goal. And there is no. I mean, if it was really up to us, I mean, we would have no insurance companies, but like that's just kind of how the world that we work in is, and it is what it is. But I think if you're looking for a mental health practice, and it doesn't have to be us or anything, but I'm just saying, look at who owns it and try to find one where the owner is an actual mental health practitioner with a license,
doctor, psychiatrist, anything.
Even like a social worker or something, like somebody that understands
some medical field. Anyway, this is like listening to a podcast of two people who have ADD, because it's like we literally started with the focus of today's podcast is social media and how
I think we talked a lot about it.
And then we just did like a loop-de-loop, but
maybe the focus was on media. We did a little bit of the social media. I just think the social media part of it is just like an aspect of it, and it's not really hitting the target, the source. It's great. I think it's a good step, but I think we got to go a little bit deeper as a culture if you really want to make some shifts here. But those are you'll always get battles on that stuff, because it's been happening. Anything that we've been doing as a society, and it's just like a norm, we've been doing it for so long, and like somebody or a group of people come along and they're like, have you guys ever thought about this? This is actually crazy what we're doing, and maybe we need to shift that. Everybody's going to be like, what do you mean? I watch movies and I'm on social media all the time and I'm fine and I have a career and I'm not unstable and my kids are fine. Okay, but I mean, are they really? If you really go deeper and deeper and look into it, maybe there are some issues, and maybe it might be a better idea to look at things differently and maybe make some of these changes. But you're always going to get pushback when you're making dramatic shifts, especially when it comes to culture. So yeah, I don't take it as like, oh, yeah, we'll just tell the media companies to go fuck off and start putting out positive stuff. That's essentially the gist of it. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole thing that takes time, and like you really got to change your perspective on life and really grasp what we've been talking about today. Because if you don't, then you're just like, everything's fine. Why are we gonna stop things?
Right.
But that's like with anything. That's like, why would I stop doing heroin? I've been doing it for 10 years and I'm perfectly fine. I love my life. But
I don't think anyone has been doing heroin for 10 years saying I love my life.
Or cocaine. I don't know. Pick any or anything. It's like you don't want to get off of it, but it's probably good for you.
I don't think anyone who's been doing heroin for 10 years, though, or anyone thinks that it's actually good.
No, I'm saying getting off of it. They know that it's good for them, right?
Yeah, totally. But it's scary.
If you have a one-on-one conversation with anybody that's listening to this, and we talk, and I say, hey, what type of shows do you watch? All right, how does that affect you and your mental state? And then you get them to start thinking about like, oh, I didn't realize that might have some of my anxiety coming from like the TV shows and the news that I watch every night.
Oh my
Right?
God, yeah, which is what, yeah.
But if you
absolutely.
start having these one-on-one conversations, have these conversations, and then maybe like they're like, oh, my kid is like blah 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 blah. Well, okay, well, what are they watching? What's happening? Blah blah blah. Every single one of us will admit that there is some aspect of it that is like not helping society, right?
Oh, totally.
But as a whole, if you talk about it in general, oh, we're just going to get rid of movies and social media in America. Everybody would shit their pants. There's a deeper conversation about it, and when you hit home of like,
Mhm.
hey, how do you think this is affecting you? Let's go down the list of these things.
Mhm.
Every single person would say, yes, it is affecting me.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But you'd have to be able to figure out a way to slowly have those conversations.
Well, right. Not everybody obviously has those people who they can have those conversations with, so they're just kind of living life as is.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If government
Or the Rockefellers.
the Rockefellers are the guys that are actually doing what has been going on. That is not the place we want to do the opposite of that. So we need
right, but maybe there's like they need to change their tune and then kind of switch tracks and then be like, okay, we want all of our money and everything to now be investing in like only positive things, not negative things.
What's the incentive of that, though? Yeah.
What's the incentive of anything positive?
I think you're right. I mean, there probably is a economic incentive to shifting to more positive. Like,
totally.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe because if you talk about like health wise, right?
Health wise,
like well, like let's talk about health wise, right? Really, like it's the incentive for the pharmaceutical companies will say right now is to get people on these pharmaceutical drugs, right? Now, if you go in the opposite direction and say, hey, let's just try eating organic food and like get all the chemicals out of the food, nobody's really making money from that.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
Like,
well, the benefit or the incentive, I think, of doing more positive things just ends up being like, you're just feeling better.
Yes, I agree with that. It's great.
Really it. But yeah.
But you know, maybe we can have the Rockefellers on here or whoever to try and talk some sense into
them. All right, we have to wrap up for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, for listening to our chat today.
Yes, we are going to, I know I've been talking about it, but start having some other guests on. One, I guess I won't say who it is yet, but we got a couple of therapists coming on, and it should be exciting. And the first one would probably be more based on more children, parenting type of stuff. You know, that we could talk about forever. So
there's endless conversations when it comes to parenting.
Because there's so many different angles.
Endless.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you later.